We're looking into a picture going around online of a 2002 episode of The Simpsons. It shows Donald Trump touching a glowing orb with two Middle Eastern-looking men. Well, last month, President Trump did just that with the King of Saudi Arabia and the President of Egypt.
In this episode, The Simpsons may have predicted something wild. The show has amazed us by forecasting major events like Donald Trump's presidency and the Osaka Flu.
Please don't tell the supervisor I have the flu.
But that's not all. We will also watch their predictions about robots going rogue on humans.
Are you A, working hard, or B, go!
And a new technology changing the way we eat. The most surprising prediction is on how the world will come to an end.
It's not the end of the world.
Join us and see for yourself why The Simpsons' predictions for 2025 are insane. Baby language translator. Anyone who has ever spent time around a crying baby knows how frustrating it can be trying to figure out what they want, especially when they can't tell you directly. It's one of those universal frustrations that everyone can relate to. Well, The Simpsons took a hilarious shot at this dilemma in one episode, and it might just be a prediction that could come true sooner than we think. In the episode, a genius character creates a device that translates a baby's cries into something adults can actually understand. The idea is as funny as it is genius, giving us a wild and entertaining look at how a simple misunderstanding can turn into a chaotic parenting moment. But while the situation is played for laughs, the idea behind it is actually pretty amazing. What's even cooler is that this concept might not be as far-fetched as it seems. Researchers and scientists are already working on technology to analyze sounds in ways we never imagined, which means a real-life version of this baby translator could be on the horizon. Thanks to The Simpsons, we might just be one step closer to making parenting a little less of a guessing game. As technology continues to advance, The Simpsons' predictions are becoming increasingly relevant, and their take on AI is a warning we shouldn't ignore. AI gone rogue. The Simpsons warning. We have all heard of the potential dangers of artificial intelligence, but what if The Simpsons foresaw a future where AI goes from helpful to harmful? Artificial intelligence is advancing faster than ever, and while it's super exciting to see how it's making life easier, there's a bit of a scary side to it too. What if we told you The Simpsons might have actually predicted a pretty unsettling future for AI? In a 2016 episode, the family visits a theme park where all the staff are robots. What starts off as an intriguing experience quickly goes off the rails when the AI turns rogue, taking out the humans and causing chaos. Now, it's not just a crazy plot twist, it's a scary look at what could happen if AI goes too far. This whole scenario raises some big questions about AI's role in our future. For starters, could AI end up taking over jobs, leaving regular workers without work, and making unemployment even worse than it already is? That's a real worry. Then there's the even scarier thought that as AI gets smarter, we could create something far more intelligent than ourselves. And what if it turns on us? Scientists have been sounding the alarm about this for years. As AI keeps evolving, could we end up with technology that we just can't control anymore? Jürgen Schmeider, a big name in the science and tech world, has warned that AI could lead to runaway technological growth, totally changing society over the next few decades. Looks like The Simpsons might have had a point after all. But AI isn't the only futuristic concept The Simpsons predicted. They also foresaw a world with flying cars. Flying cars. From robot workers to flying cars, The future that once seemed impossible is slowly starting to take shape. And it's kind of wild how The Simpsons always seems to predict these things. It's almost like they have a crystal ball or something. Take the 2005 episode Future Drama, for example. In this one, Bart and Lisa get a sneak peek of their lives in 2013, thanks to Professor Fink's machine. The episode, in true Simpsons fashion, imagines a future where flying cars are as common as sedans on the street. It felt a little ridiculous back then, much like how Back to the Future Part 2 overestimated the technology we would have by the 2010s. While society in 2013 was more obsessed with quirky fashion trends like onesies, flying cars were a distant dream. Now here's the interesting part. While The Simpsons was ahead of its time, technology has been catching up over the past decade. Hyundai had promised that flying cars would be a part of Uber's future by 2023. But that deadline came and went without any airborne vehicles in sight. However, there's still hope on the horizon. Enter Samsung Sky, a company with a real shot at making this sci-fi dream come true by 2025. In December 2023, their flying car, the Switchblade, took its first flight, soaring 500 feet above the ground. It was a huge step forward, and the company told the news they were just 2 years away from mass-producing the Switchblade for interested buyers. Now, imagine driving your car on the road and then effortlessly flying it into the sky. That's the promise of the Switchblade. But before you start picturing yourself zooming above traffic, there's one catch. To take to the skies, you'll need a pilot's license. The price tag? Around $170,000 and up, which will definitely have you thinking twice. Still, with flying cars becoming a reality, it seems like The Simpsons might have been onto something after all. Who knows? In the next few years, we might all be looking up at traffic in a whole new way. And speaking of reality, The Simpsons also nailed this one about the next American president. Donald Trump's presidential elections. Still the most thrilling to date is the prediction of Donald Trump as president. In a 1998 episode titled Bart to the Future, Donald Trump is shown as the 45th president of the United States. At that time, Trump was a reality TV star and businessman, far removed from the political world. The episode's writers later claimed it was just a joke based on Trump's flamboyant personality. However, when Trump announced his candidacy in 2015 and subsequently won the election in 2016, The Simpsons' prediction became the talk of Hollywood. Whether it was a lucky guess or a random jab that accidentally hit the bullseye, the episode remains a mystery in American political history. Now, here's where it gets really intriguing. The Simpsons predicted that Trump would win the 2024 election. Fast forward to the 15th of November, 2022, when Trump announced his intention to run for president again in 2024. Interestingly, Al Jean, a writer for The Simpsons, shared on X that the show had actually predicted this way back in 2015, during an episode where the Simpson family travels into the future. In that episode, Homer walked by a sign that said Trump 2024, which was just wild when you thought about it. What was even crazier was that this episode aired long before Trump even became president. The Simpsons didn't stop there, though. They had already predicted Trump's presidency in an earlier episode, even mentioning that the next president after Trump would have to deal with budget problems caused by his time in office. By the time the presidential election rolled around in November, fans of the show were eagerly waiting to see if The Simpsons would once again prove how spot on their predictions were. If you were still skeptical, had you ever wondered how the producers managed to predict that Trump would not only run for president, but actually win? It was honestly mind-blowing and remained a bit of a mystery. Now that we've talked about Trump, let's see what The Simpsons had to say about his daughter. Ivanka Trump in line to become the future president. Do the writers of The Simpsons have a fascination with Donald Trump and his family? Well, before you jump to conclusions, let's take a closer look at a subtle moment from the show. Up until now, The Simpsons had already made a name for itself by accurately predicting major political events, like Donald Trump's election to the presidency. But they didn't stop there. In an episode that aired in October 2016, the writers dropped a hint that Ivanka Trump, Donald Trump's daughter, might run for president. This prediction stood out in one episode where Homer Simpson is seen wearing a campaign button reading Ivanka 2028. While it's easy to brush this off as a funny gag from the writers, it's actually quite telling. The prediction about Ivanka's potential presidential run is no accident. It's likely a calculated choice, especially considering Ivanka's growing influence in politics, largely shaped by her father's tutelage. When The Simpsons makes a prediction, it often has a deeper connection to reality, and this case is no different. While we can't say for sure if Ivanka will run for president, let alone win, the show's history of making accurate predictions makes us wonder. What's even more interesting is that Ivanka's potential presidency could signal something bigger: the possibility of a woman becoming president of the United States. So, how would you feel if Ivanka Trump really did decide to run for president? It might seem unexpected, but knowing The Simpsons' track record, we might want to keep an eye on this one. But that wasn't all. Here's a prediction that was way ahead of its time. The Simpsons hinted at futuristic food technology that could change the way we experience meals. Virtual reality food. Could virtual reality replace our favorite foods? The Simpsons threw this idea out years ago, and the tech world is starting to make it real. It all began in the Treehouse of Horror 6 episode from Season 7, where Homer and Marge are shown enjoying virtual fudge through straws while wearing their virtual reality headsets. At the time, it seemed like a wild, over-the-top idea. Who could have ever imagined eating food without actually tasting it? It felt like something straight out of science fiction. But fast forward to today, and we're starting to see the possibility of a future where virtual reality changes how we experience dining. It's hard to believe that technology could impact something as basic as food, right? But knowing The Simpsons, their predictions often end up closer to reality than we'd expect. With the rapid pace of advancements in technology, what once seemed far-fetched is starting to feel more plausible. In fact, it's already happening. The Royal Caribbean Cruise Line is planning to offer guests a virtual reality dining experience, proving that what seemed like a joke just a few decades ago might soon be the next big thing in food. Imagine enjoying all your favorite foods without worrying about calories. No more late-night fridge raids or counting carbs. With virtual reality food, you could experience digital dishes in a completely immersive way without ever gaining a pound. Companies like Aero Banquets RMX are already pushing the boundaries by creating virtual reality experiences that simulate not only the look and feel of food, but also the smells and sounds. It's like stepping into a fantasy world where you can savor every bite, minus the guilt and calories. But here's the thing. Virtual reality food isn't just about enjoying meals without any consequences. it's also opening up new possibilities for how we experience food. Imagine being able to explore the journey of your meal, learning about sustainable farming, or even cooking alongside a virtual chef, guiding you every step of the way. What started as a quirky joke on The Simpsons is quickly becoming more and more plausible. As technology advances, the idea of virtual reality food might just change the way we think about dining. So, who knows? The future could bring us food experiences we never imagined. In fact, let's see another hint The Simpsons gave about a technology that's still in its early stages. Hologram. Ever feel like technology is moving so fast that you're constantly playing catch-up? 1 minute, it's all about the latest phone, and the next minute, we're talking about holograms. But here's the wild part. The Simpsons might have already predicted it. These days, technology is evolving so fast that it feels like we can barely keep up, right? But if you look at The Simpsons, it's like they're living in the future already. Seriously, the show has been ahead of the game for years. In one episode, Bart takes a peek into the future using one of Professor Frink's crazy inventions, a thingamajig. What did he see? Well, it's kind of mind-blowing. In this futuristic vision, a lazy older Bart gets a hologram message inviting his band to a gig at a club. Now here's the real question. How did The Simpsons come up with the idea of holograms being a thing in the first place? And could it be that by 2025, holograms might be as common as texting on our cell phones? Okay, maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but bear with us. Right now, we have already got some seriously cool tech, like the DreamOck high-definition holograms. These three-sided displays can show three-dimensional images of people, places, or anything from anywhere in the world. Imagine chilling in your living room and watching your friend from across the globe teach you the latest viral TikTok dance. But what happens when machines start to think for themselves? The Simpsons has an answer, and it's not pretty. Robots and AI going rogue. Now here's something The Simpsons might have nailed way before anyone else. Robots taking over way more than just factory jobs. You might have already seen robot servers in Japan, and self-driving cars are on the verge of replacing taxi drivers. But it's not just physical tasks that are being automated. Even creative jobs could be at risk. Artificial intelligence is already stepping in to handle things like coding, financial advising, and even graphic design. It's crazy to think that we could be heading toward a future where artificial intelligence goes rogue. Sounds wild, right? Well, it's not as absurd as it sounds. Just recently, a Google engineer lost his job after claiming their artificial intelligence was becoming too lifelike. We're getting closer to artificial intelligence that can learn, adapt, and who knows, maybe even feel emotions like humans do. The line between fiction and reality is blurring and fast. Do you remember that Simpsons episode from 1994, Itchy and Scratchy Land? The one where the family visits a theme park run by robots? Well, it gets pretty wild when the robots become super smart and, you guessed it, rebel against their human creators. Back then, it was just a funny cartoon. But with the stuff happening in real life, it feels a little different now. As artificial intelligence continues to grow smarter, the idea of machines thinking for themselves or even deciding that humans are in their way doesn't seem quite so impossible. But what happens when technology starts to control our minds? The Simpsons explored this idea in a creepy episode that's about to become all too real. Mind control through music. The Simpsons is more than just a comedy, especially when it starts predicting real-life events, like this one incredible example. Over the years, people have frequently wondered how often The Simpsons has made eerily accurate predictions, and many have found it a bit unsettling. In this particular episode, Bart, Nelson, Milhouse, and Ralph are selected to form a boy band called Party Posse, a name that some found amusing. But as with many Simpsons plots, there was a darker twist lurking beneath the surface. In the episode, the band's hit song, Dropped a Bomb, comes with this odd music video featuring a strange chant, Ivan et Nioj. When you flip it around, it actually spells, Join the Navy. Things get even crazier when we find out that the catchy song and trippy video were actually brainwashing Springfield's people to join the military. Lisa puts the pieces together when she confronts the music producer and finds out he's actually a Navy lieutenant. He opens up about how music has been used for military recruitment for a long time, and it's not just some crazy plotline from the show. In fact, during World War II, the United States used music and entertainment as a way to encourage young men to enlist. It turns out, the power of entertainment on people's choices is much more real than we might realize. So, when The Simpsons touches on mind control through music, it makes one wonder whether it's just a wild plot or if the show's creators knew something everyone else missed. Given how many times The Simpsons has accurately predicted the future, maybe it's time to pay a little more attention to what they might be hinting at. Now, The Simpsons is leading us into a series of predictions that are starting to feel a bit too real, beginning with a joke about the next war. War in 2025. Could a harmless prank in an 80s cartoon actually be pointing to something much more troubling about our future? Well, on November 22nd, 1987, The Simpsons aired a special episode on The Tracy Ullman Show. It was packed with laughs, but if you look a little closer, there might be something deeper going on beneath the humor. Now, before you think we're overanalyzing this, hear us out. Some of the most accurate predictions made by The Simpsons have been simple little side notes that most people didn't even pay attention to. It's wild to think about, but sometimes it's those throwaway moments that turn out to be spot on. So, in this particular episode, Homer Simpson keeps pranking his family by scaring them with World War III warnings. He would wake them up in a panic, telling them to rush into the fallout shelter, acting like the end of the world was coming. So now, here's the thing. Do you really think an ordinary guy's makeshift shelter could protect his family from a nuclear fallout? That's a question we will leave to the Mythbusters. But the episode was clearly a joke, making fun of the panic that could happen if a serious global conflict got too close. Honestly, the idea that regular families might have to act like Homer's was a pretty bold prediction at the time. Fast forward to today, and we're a lot closer to that World War III scenario than we were in the late 80s. First, we had a global scare in 2020, with tensions rising before the pandemic hit. Then, if you keep an eye on world politics, it's pretty clear that there are conflicts happening all over the globe. So, the big question is, could 2024 be the year everything comes to a head? Could we see nations pushing things too far, leading to a major global conflict? Well, The Simpsons' ability to predict the future doesn't stop there. Another episode also touched on a topic that feels all too familiar, as they predicted pandemics. The Osaka Flu. In The Simpsons episode Marge in Chains from Season 4, we see a chaotic but strangely relatable situation unfold. The episode, which is essentially a Mother's Day special, shows just how much Marge truly means to the town of Springfield. When she's suddenly locked up in jail, the entire town realizes how much they depend on her. But while that's going on, there's also an interesting subplot about a sickness spreading rapidly through Springfield. It all starts with a new juicer being shipped in from Osaka, Japan. However, one of the workers in the packing plant has the flu, and his germs end up contaminating the juices. These tainted juices are then sent out to homes across Springfield, and before long, the entire town is infected. The flu became known as the Osaka Flu, and it spread like wildfire. Now, even though this sounds bizarre, it raises a pretty unsettling question. Could something like this actually happen in real life? Could a deadly disease or germs be accidentally spread around the world because of a manufacturer's mistake, especially if one of their workers was sick? It's definitely a scary thought, and with how The Simpsons has a knack for predicting future events, it's not all that far-fetched to think that something similar could happen. If history's any guide, sometimes the wildest Simpsons plots end up being a little too close to reality. While the show is known for crazy storylines, it also gives us a glimpse into real-world issues, like the future of renewable energy. Renewable energy. You won't believe how The Simpsons predicted the future in such a casual yet spot-on way. In episode 582, Lisa Simpson creates a solar-powered car to race in the alternative energy derby. It seems like the perfect moment for clean energy to shine. But things take a turn when a corporate firm uses a blimp to block the sun, preventing Lisa from crossing the finish line and leaving her to face the crowd's ridicule. At first glance, it seems like just another funny moment, but look a little closer, and it's eerily accurate. Today, we're racing toward a future powered by clean energy, and solar cars are no longer a far-off dream. It's very possible that by 2025, solar-powered cars could be a common sight on the roads. But here's the surprising part. The Simpsons didn't just predict the rise of clean energy. They also saw the pushback from big corporations that are reluctant to move away from traditional energy sources. These companies are major players in the global economy, and as much as we may want a cleaner future, their opposition could hold things up. This battle is already unfolding, and if history is any indication, it's likely to continue in the years ahead. And if that's not mind-blowing enough, just wait until you hear the next prediction. Trapped in a dome. Could the government really trap us in a dome to control our consumption? It sounds like science fiction, but The Simpsons may have predicted just that. Let's see how close their prophecy might be. In a scene from the Simpsons movie in 2007, the show predicted a city being sealed off under a dome by the government. Now, with the way the cost of living is going up, this prediction doesn't seem so crazy anymore. Imagine in 2025, the government putting us in a controlled environment to limit how much we consume. The show even guessed that they would cut off the electricity and the internet, leaving everyone stuck. Could this really happen? It's a scary thought, but as The Simpsons has shown us time and time again, sometimes their wild predictions turn out to be closer to reality than we would like to admit. While the idea of a government-controlled dome feels possible, the next prediction takes us into even more unknown territory. Black holes on Earth. Black holes are still a big mystery for scientists. While we know they exist, there's so much we don't understand about them. But what if The Simpsons predicted how a black hole could affect Earth? In one episode, a small black hole appears and starts getting bigger, sucking up everything in its path. It grows so huge that it swallows everything and sends people and objects to another planet. where aliens greet them. As crazy as this sounds, the idea of a black hole near Earth isn't totally impossible. Scientists have actually found one not too far from us. So, what if a black hole really did appear in the future? Could we survive it? It's a scary thought, but as The Simpsons has often done, they might have predicted something that could actually happen. Just as the idea of black holes invading our planet sounds unbelievable, so does the prediction of humans traveling to another planet. Mars colonization. What if we told you that The Simpsons predicted humanity's drive to colonize Mars long before Elon Musk even set his sights on the red planet? The show has always had a talent for tapping into ideas that feel too futuristic to be true, and this prediction is no exception. In one fascinating episode, Lisa Simpson gets selected to travel to Mars to help build a habitat, and in true Simpson family style, Marge decides she is not about to let her daughter go alone. Soon, the entire family is signing up for the mission. The plan? To send humans to Mars before 2026. Of course, things do not go quite as planned. The family's mission to Mars is delayed, and they end up arriving in 2051 instead. As if that was not enough, Lisa then announces she wants to go to Venus, which just adds another layer of hilarity to the whole situation. While the episode is clearly meant to be a bit of fun, the fact that The Simpsons predicted such a big step in space exploration is nothing short of mind-blowing. It is one of those rare moments when the lines between comedy and reality start to blur, leaving us wondering what other predictions the show might have gotten right. The show has amazed us with its predictions about the future, but it has also explored darker ideas, like the world coming to an end. End of the world. We have all joked about the world ending, but The Simpsons took it to a whole new level with a prediction that's hard to ignore. The show has always been known for predicting everything, from tech trends to political chaos, but it also ventured into the realm of the apocalypse. In one episode, Homer Simpson predicts the end of the world, based on a prophecy from the Book of Revelation, claiming that just before the rapture, the stars will fall to Earth. Homer can't wait for the big day and shares his apocalyptic excitement with his family and friends. However, when the day comes, he's left feeling disappointed because nothing happens. But in a surprising twist, after the world does eventually end, Homer finds himself sent to heaven. The episode raises an interesting thought. Could the world really end at any moment, without any warning? It's a dark but fascinating idea that The Simpsons managed to explore in their own hilarious way. Hold on, this is just one of the many crazy predictions The Simpsons has made over the years. There are a few more that will absolutely leave you speechless. Environmental disaster. From funny moments to wild predictions, The Simpsons has always kept us entertained. But did you know that one of its craziest storylines could actually be a warning about the future of our environment? This prediction actually comes from the Simpsons movie back in 2007, which, like many episodes of the show, tackled some pretty strange ideas. But here's the thing, some of those ideas could very well be predictions of events that might happen in the future. One thing that really stands out is the movie's central theme, a huge environmental disaster. It's a pretty wild scenario, but honestly, it's something that could totally happen in some form. In the movie, Homer makes things much worse by accidentally dumping pig waste into Springfield's already polluted lake, which sparks an environmental disaster. To control the chaos, the government quarantines the town by surrounding it with a giant bubble. While the bubble part is clearly exaggerated and unrealistic, the environmental crisis that follows doesn't feel all unbelievable. The movie's take on the disaster might be extreme, but the message behind it is something we really need to think about. We all know by now that global warming is real, and it's a huge problem caused mostly by human actions. Businesses keep acting recklessly, putting profits before the planet, which only makes things worse. This is a serious issue, and it's something that could seriously affect our future unless we start making some real changes. This isn't the only time The Simpsons seem to predict something mysterious. For example, there's the episode that got a lot of attention for allegedly foreseeing Kobe Bryant's tragic death. Murder hornets. What if we told you The Simpsons predicted several strange events, like murder hornets, a helicopter crash, and even the outcome of a Super Bowl? Now, the thing about murder hornets is, while they did cause a stir in 2020, they were actually spotted in Washington state back in 2019. And as scary as their name sounds, they're not nearly as dangerous to humans as you'd think. Mostly just freaky looking due to their size. But it gets even more interesting. The Simpsons episode with the bees isn't the only prediction that got a lot of attention. There's also the one about Kobe Bryant's tragic death, based on a helicopter scene. But, as it turns out, helicopters appear in a lot of shows and movies, so that's just a coincidence, not some mystical prediction. And then, let's talk about that Super Bowl prediction. A Simpsons episode from 1999 is said to have predicted the San Francisco 49ers winning the 2020 Super Bowl. Spoiler, they didn't. The 49ers lost to the Kansas City Chiefs. But here's the fun part. Since animation takes time, the episode was actually predicting Super Bowl 33 in 1999, which was between the Denver Broncos and the Atlanta Falcons. The whole 49ers prediction was just a random gag because they had to pick a team's color scheme before they knew who'd actually be in the game. So, no, it wasn't a prediction after all. Zombie apocalypse. Lastly, let's shake things up with one of The Simpsons' craziest predictions. They predicted a zombie apocalypse coming. In one episode, a fast food joint serves a burger that turns people into zombie-like creatures. But the apocalypse kicks off when a reporter gets the honor of trying this so-called delicious burger first. And of course, it's only the Simpson family who avoids the zombification, while the rest of the town descends into total chaos. The show plays it for laughs, but let's be real. A real-life zombie outbreak could spiral into a global crisis. Let's hope this one stays in the realm of fiction. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.